But now I have one hand, and I'm trying to get this book underneath my laptop. This is awkward. One moment. There we go. That's better. I don't like the upward angle.
I'm trying to scarf down my breakfast. Let's do our intro.
Proper intro. Are the pillows too much?
No, you're cozy.
I know I am. I'm chilling. Right? I was thinking that the other day. I was like, I could just record in bed, really.
You could.
Oh, okay, let me ditch these peanuts. I got nowhere to ditch them. Sip of coffee. Feel like this is the first one all over again.
Feels like the first time.
Insert hungover Camile and Sarah clip here.
Hello. So Sarah, do you want to start it?
Yeah, 1 second. My bad. I just need a little bit more. This is rough. Amanda woke me up at 8:30.
We're not hungover though. This is just
Okay.
us in our glory.
Our Monday morning glory. The things we do for you people, the audience.
For the gram.
We love you. Feels like it. Okay.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of The Bikini Show. I'm Camile Periat with
Sarah Lyon. Hello, everyone. We're so excited to be back again, 2 times a week. We're cranking through them, enjoying the process.
We're cranking through them. And I have to really quickly just mention that this amazing episode is brought to you by Maximum Beauty.
Camille is on it. Maximum Beauty.
My brain cells are like, bing,
Right. Good. So this will be an entertaining episode for everybody.
Great start. So
well, today, guys, tell them who do we got on? I'm pulling up our questionnaire list.
So this morning we are bringing on James with Team Atlas. He is a coach based out of Canada, and he has a couple of few pretty big names on his roster. We've just recently interviewed them as well. Jennifer Dorie, Narman, and our last episode with Laura Lee. So this will be bringing James on, which will be kind of cool to see his strategies, his approach. He's a rather new coach on the circuit, has kind of risen up in the past 2 years, and see what James is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be really, like you said, it'll be really cool to have him on after having now 3 of his athletes on and getting their take of everything. And now we get to kind of compare and contrast. So let's go ahead and get him on. So Camille, what's on your schedule for today?
Right after this, I'm teaching a live class for a live workout. And then I don't know what I have else going on after that.
So where can everyone come tune in and do workouts with you? Because you do those weekly.
I do them, yeah. So we offer free live classes. Myself, along with a couple other personal trainers and aerobics instructors, teach these free classes. Santa Cruz Power Fitness, our Instagram handle. You can tune in live on Instagram, or you can click on our bio and join the Zoom. And the Zoom's kind of fun because you can I can see people when I'm working out with them, but these workouts have been kicking my butt. And then when you're talking the whole time through,
right,
my heart rate is like 170.
Isn't it a different story? It's like, I remember when I used to teach fitness classes, and I remember like the first couple sessions, if you will, I was like, wow, I really need to practice doing these before I come and do them, because next thing you know, I'm like, deep breath in.
Yeah,
we're on the schedule.
We're like winded, can barely talk, and everyone else is like,
Yeah, they're like waiting for you to talk to.
I'm gonna finish my oatmeal. What are you doing today?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Are you looking around for something to do?
Yeah, I was looking around to see what I was painting next, if you will. Yeah, I was thinking about taking a break actually from my list of to-dos around the house. I was thinking about it today because I've been at it now for a few days in a row. But then I am the epitome of Darwin's law, which is an object in motion stays in motion. So I know me that if I take today off, it'll probably be a couple more days before I get back into it. So I should probably paint something today so that I don't delay. But
I was on such a roll, like painting and doing these projects, and I've taken a break, and now I'm just like, getting yourself back into it.
Exactly. That's exactly how I am. So that's why I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna do one thing. I will say that I'm gonna have to go back and get some more paint. I thought this gallon would get me through, because I'm doing a lot of like trim work, like little projects, all the same color, but I'm already lower than a half a gallon. So I will making a trip to Lowe's, which
Gauging the amount of paint you need is really hard. I will either way underestimate and have to go back twice, or like the last time I had like this much paint left for trim and I just kind of like thinned it out a little bit. But in the meantime, I had bought a whole gallon of it just to be safe because I thought I was going to need a ton of it. I never even opened that gallon.
That is the worst too. Or like if you do, I remember, well, a couple times when I was doing projects like these a couple of years ago at home, and I got a gallon, and after you spend like $60 on a gallon of paint, and then next thing you know, you come home, you use half of it, and then you realize that you could have just got the sample size.
Yeah.
That whole time.
Chris?
Good morning.
What's up, James?
Oh.
Hey.
Hey, James. How's it going?
Good, you?
Good.
Good morning. Thank you for joining our bikini show.
Oh, no problem. My
First
pleasure.
male guest.
Great,
Yes.
Let's do it.
You are. So we've recently had a few of your athletes on. We had Narman on, Jennifer Dorie. We just recently had Laura Lee, which will be featured right before your episode comes out, or a couple episodes before you come out. But we thought it'd be awesome to hear from you and your approach and strategy, as we've had a few of our, your athletes on our show, and get to know who James is.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. So you're based out of Canada, right?
Yeah, Montreal, Canada.
Yeah. So how are you surviving the whole quarantine? And
it is what it is, but hopefully it's over soon and we can get back to a somewhat normal life.
Yeah.
What are they saying for you guys timeline wise?
Honestly, I don't follow the Canadian politics, so I follow the American one. So
we're even more confused.
Yeah. We're in a worse situation here, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's what I've heard, but I also heard that you guys shut down a lot earlier than us, so you guys might be
No, definitely later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So James, so in the recent couple years, before, actually I would say, you have become kind of a household name in the bikini world, and that's happened relatively quickly. What sets you apart, and what has helped you kind of get to the point where you're at now with your coaching?
So I have a short answer and I have a long answer for that. So the short answer is the quality of athletes, the marketing, and my ability to build a business. So the long answer for this question, I've had businesses ever since I was 16 years old. So I know how to build a business quickly, and I know how to run a business efficiently. So the quality of athletes comes from the dynamic that I created in my business with my two employees, right, Jennifer Dorie and Angeline. So the way that I'm able, like the first key component that needs to be the core of a competition team needs to be the quality of athletes. And I think a lot of people focus too much on the quantity of athletes and to become a factory. And the second you become a factory and you start pumping out too many athletes and not caring about the quality of them, then you just ruin your business. So I never want to get to that point. I still, my goal is to keep increasing the number of athletes I have, but always maintain the quality, whether I have one athlete or 500. So right now we coach about 300 athletes at a time, and the quality is consistent amongst all of them, right? And that happens because of the dynamic that I set up inside my company. So I have my 2 employees right now. I'm getting more, but the main thing is I will never let anyone make the diets of my clients. So I feel like a lot of big teams, what happens is they get so big, they start, sorry?
Having assistant coaches that are kind of coaching underneath the
Exactly. And that just ruins the whole core value of quality, right? Because you guys know that no one's going to do a better job than you at what you're doing, and when an athlete joins, they want to pay you to be their coach, not someone under you. So the dynamic I built, Jennifer Dorie, her strengths are her likability, her compassion, she's just so nice. And so as the manager of a business, I need to put her on the front lines, right? I need her to deal with the clients. I need her, to emotionally connect with the clients, So I have 300 girls. Imagine me alone dealing with 300 girls on their period all the time. It's impossible. Okay, I'll kill myself. So I
think anybody would.
Yeah. So, but Jennifer Dorie does it. So she's amazing. So she's never once said a negative thing about anyone. That's how, her personality is like no other. So I put her on her front line. She deals with most of the sales, and she's very good at communicating to new clients, explaining them what they need and all that stuff, and she's able to connect with them. So her strength is, being able to connect with clients. And so I put her on the front lines, and the way we work is all the check-ins are with myself, my posing coach, and Jen. So Jen always responds to their, emotional side, I guess motivation, requirements that some athletes may need. And every single person on my team that is on there now or has been there is able to say a positive thing about Jen. There's not one athlete that would say Jen is a bad person or Jen this. Not one. Even athletes that have left my team would not even. They would be like, yeah, Jen was still amazing. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
and sorry.
I'm sorry. Continue on.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a long answer. I told you.
I don't know if you've seen our episodes, but they kind of there.
It's okay. They kind of go on.
Okay. Yeah. And the second thing is Angeline. So her strength is her technicalities, and we're able to, analyze posing very well. So she's an engineer and she builds airplanes. So her personality is very black and white. She's a little bit more like me than like Jen. So her weakness is her sociability, even though she's working on it. But it's just personality, and not everyone has the same strength. So I put her more on the back end, right? She still deals with clients, but she's not as involved during check-ins. You understand?
Yeah.
So with me, I don't want to say I lack compassion, but I'm not as patient as Jen. So I'm kind of black and white too. I just say how it is. Listen, you need to stick to your diet. You need to not screw around. And Jen will kind of like say it in a very nice way. So I'm good at analyzing physiques and good at analyzing, exactly what we need to do, as far as updating a diet or, introducing supplementation or anything like that. When I see a body, I know what to do. So I just do that. And then I sometimes get into, I don't want to say the emotional part, but I kind of like try to connect with the clients too. It's important for them to build a relationship with their main coach. Yeah. But Jen does the majority of that for sure.
Okay.
So.
You mentioned athlete selection and the quality of athletes. Is there a selection process? I think a lot of new athletes it's very common for an athlete to see a coach that is like, oh, they coach this person or they coach this person at Olympia. But there's a selection process that coaches go through. You want to maybe share some of that with us?
I do have a wait list right now to join my team, but I don't necessarily take everyone based on genetics, because first of all, it's not fun for me. I don't want to just coach everyone that has great genetics, because I won't learn. And when you learn and you coach weaker athletes genetic wise, then you're going to become a better coach overall. But a great tip for amateur athletes to know that if your coach is the one coaching all the athletes, or if the coach has people under him, making diets, or if the coach just doesn't care about anyone besides top athletes, look at the coaches' amateurs. You know, are they consistently getting the same results as the pros? Do they look like the pros, or do they look horrible and the pros look good? Because I see a lot of these big teams where their top, you know, five, 6, 7 pros look great, and their amateurs all look terrible consistently. And then you can tell the dynamic of the team isn't, you know, what you probably would want as far as, you know, joining a team.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think a lot of athletes, they will see a new coach, and a lot of times there'll be like this flood of top athletes that will go over, and NPC or amateur athletes will be feeling that too. How do you keep your clients motivated in general, and especially during the quarantine? I've seen a lot of posts that you put up, that Jennifer's put up, keeping your athletes motivated, these contests. So what are some things that you're doing to help people stay on track?
So this is a good question, because there's 2 types of athletes. Okay, first of all, let's go back to the business aspect. I spoke to Angelina and Jen when it's like day 3 of quarantine. I was like, listen, guys, the whole goal here is client retention. Okay, so I'm a businessman first before a coach. I know how to run a business, and the whole goal is to keep the clients and not make them leave. So as far as, I don't want to call it maybe motivation, but it may be, you know, just keeping them on track. Because the good, like, I'll give you an example, like Jennifer Dorie and Laura Lee, right? They don't need motivation. I don't need to be like, hey guys, come on, you got this, like hold their hand. You know, I've never once, you know, got a message from Jen saying, hey, I binged on my diet. Never. It just doesn't happen. And I'm sure Camile too, as an Olympian, you know, and you too, Sarah, you guys don't really binge on your diet. You know, understand? Like, that's just your lifestyle.
Game mode.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So, but then you have, so the very strong athletes that are going to turn pro, or the ones that are already pro, I don't have that issue with them. They're focused because they're doing it for the right reasons, right? And they have the underlying goal that's pushing them forward. But then you have the weaker athletes that are maybe not doing it for the right reasons, or they just, you know, they're new to the whole thing, and they more feel forced to diet than they want to do it themselves. You understand? So then they need the motivation. And what I've been doing is I'm doing a few competitions, like the best internal, you know, transformation of the team within 8 weeks, and, you know, a month of free coaching if they're consistent on their, you know, check-ins weekly without cheating, stuff like that. But
yeah, it seems like it's getting, you know, I think a lot of people need that right now, especially as they're feeling lost.
It's very tough. It's very tough. But the good thing is that I coach mostly women, and you guys know you can probably get a decent like workout in at home. As a bodybuilder,
right?
I mean, you can't do a band workout. You can't.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more demotivating for the men. But like, for example, like we've gotten a zillion check-ins, and I don't really notice a difference between the ones that are actually consistently training at home and when they go to the gym. Like Jennifer Dorie looks the same as when she goes to the gym. So I mean, if they're doing it, it's working, you know.
Yeah, well, you do some pretty crazy lower body workouts with bands, and so you coach predominantly bikini athletes. Is that safe to say? How did you get started in coaching, and how long have you been doing this?
So this all started, I owned another business when I was 16. And then I moved on to real estate a little bit. I started in real estate when I was 17. So I've always been a businessman to start off. So I feel like life just brings you in certain directions, you know, over time based on, you know, decisions you make. And during that first business, it was an online business, and I gained a lot of weight. I was obese. I was 320 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
So I lost 140 pounds, and I got so almost addicted to fitness, and, you know, I was in the gym 6 hours a day. Like, that's like, way too much.
Overtraining. It's a thing.
Yeah, way overtraining. 3 hours cardio, 3 hours training a day, every day.
Yeah.
So I got way too much. So then I got so interested. I wanted to build a business. I knew I could build a business inside this industry, or inside anything you do, because as an entrepreneur, this is the ability you have. So I was like, hey, I want to be, I told myself my niche would be transformation clients, right? Because how many personal trainers have been obese before? Not very many.
Not many.
So, yeah. So I was like, my niche is going to be transformation clients. And I realized very soon that was extremely boring, and I need to motivate them all. And 9% of them don't follow it anyways. So I was like, screw this. So I actually had one athlete that did a competition, And I fell in love with it. It was like, that's it. I was like, it's such a challenge and very competitive. You know, when you have a lot of transformation clients, like specifically like very overweight, there's no competition. You know, it's you and them. That's more of a Jennifer Dorie type area, right? Because she's able to connect with them. And if I'm doing that alone, it's not my strength. My strength is competing and, you know, trying to win and do stuff like that. That's where I excel at. So yeah, then I built a little team and we did a competition and I won like best coach or something. And then, you know, just kind of rolled out from there.
Wow.
Very cool. Now you said before that you take up to 300 clients.
Yeah.
So how do you manage all of that? You know, you're talking about all their check-ins. Do they do weekly check-ins with you? Do you have them check in on the same day? How do you do that?
I do weekly check-ins to spread it out. But I mean, the key component to having a successful business and mindset is reliability, and you need to be organized. You just got to be organized. We're actually moving on to increase our number cap by maybe 100 or a little bit more, but we're able to do it. Like we had a team discussion the other day, like what can we do to increase our number and keep the quality? You know, the underlying thing is always keep the quality, right? So I don't want to increase my number and become a factory and then all my athletes look terrible. So the main characteristic I think about me that allows us to, you know, or about even Angeline and Jen, they have the same thing. They're very organized, very reliable. So if I ask Jen to do something or Angeline, it's going to be done. I don't have to go back and be like, oh, did you do it? That's not how it is. They're punctual, on time, and organized. And that's how you can control the big team. But it's like any company, right? Would you be able to have someone, you know, deal with a large amount of employees or clients if they're unorganized? Like, no, eventually it's going to catch up to them. You can do maybe 5 to 10, and then you're going to be so unorganized, you're going to get overwhelmed, and the whole system is going to collapse.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm experiencing that myself. It's not in those regards, but we own a couple large businesses out here in California, and you have to be on it. You got
to be on top of it.
Yeah.
I love Excel documents. I have a zillion, and they're all color coordinated and everything.
Great. That's how I am with Google Sheets. Everything's on there.
Yeah, I love it.
So what are your strategies? I know a lot of athletes like to hear about, you know, refeeds, cheat meals, when you would think it's necessary. Jennifer Dorie's kind of become known for her little pecan.
What are those called? Yeah.
Oh, I cut that out ever since, like, after 2 shows I started coaching. I'm like, out with this.
We won't be hearing about that carb up anymore.
No. That hasn't happened in over a year. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what people like know her for now.
Yeah, that's a past thing. You guys can forget about that. Don't worry.
So what is your approach? What kind of dieting style do you do? Are you kind of like bro science? If it's your macros, what's your strategy on refeed?
So I give all my clients specific diets with exact foods. I don't believe in macros and, you know, just focusing on calorie deficit is very good for weight loss. So that's what I did to lose 140 pounds. I wasn't very specific with my food. I was just specific with my calorie intake.
Sure.
But I mean, unless the client is extremely good and they're going to always eat healthy and fish and protein and broccoli, you can't really do a macro-based diet. You can't put Oreos into a competition diet and go to Olympia. It's not going to happen, you know? Yeah. So in my opinion, and from my experience, the athletes with the best genetics do the best on high carbs, low fats, or moderate carbs, low fat. Just low fat diet usually. That's my experience. In the off season though, I like to, you know, introduce a little bit. Well, I don't just cut the fats to 0, but the issue is you need fats in your diet to gain muscle mass, and those are more important than carbs actually. But during contest prep, you're just trying to kind of maintain and, you know, lose body fat. But one pet peeve I have is when a client joins and before they even check in, like, hey, when do I get cheat meal? They're just doing it for the wrong reasons. They're just not, you know, they're not trying to turn pro. They're not trying to go to Olympia. Right. Jen doesn't ask me, hey, when's my next cheat meal? She's like, hey, I want to win this fucking show. You know, sorry to swear, but
that's all right.
You're fine.
I think when an athlete gets to that level, we're so also in tune with our body that I know for myself, it's like I won't even think about a cheat meal or a refeed until my body's giving me signs. Like I'm waking up and
you know.
Signs. You're like, okay, I need a refeed today.
Yeah.
And that's when you bring it up to your coach.
Exactly. So I'll just elaborate a bit on that. So refeeds and cheat meals are genetic based, 100%. So some athletes will benefit from a cheat meal, or I don't like to do cheat meals unless they're already competition ready and ahead of time. But some athletes, cheat meals are detrimental to them because I can set them back, a week or two. So I don't.
Sets off cravings.
Yeah, and well, for me, when I dieted down for my 140-pound weight loss, I didn't cheat for a year and a half. I found it was 18 months I didn't have one cheat meal, and I found that was just easier to stay on my diet because then I started, craving the food. But as far as like body composition and requirement of cheat meals and stuff, usually if I don't know the client, I'll do like a test, like have a few hundred grams of carbs or have a few hundred grams of rice. I'll be like, have 200 grams of rice, and then I'll monitor their weight and how they look the day after and a few days after, right? Because if their weight goes up and they keep that weight on, the refeed meal probably wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? If you feed a client a big influx of food and their weight's dropping, that means they needed the food. So that's how I generally, assess if they need more refeeds or not. So the ectomorphs, the ones that are, have a fast metabolism, they're generally going to need more refeeds and more, big influxes of food. But the endomorphs who have slow metabolism and stuff like that, usually these refeeds, especially cheat meals, are detrimental to their progress.
So I'm going to put you on the hot seat here for a second. And so we just had Laura Lee on.
Yeah.
Just last episode, and she, through the years we've seen her go through different prepping styles, and even with you going into the last Olympia, she was doing quite a bit of refeeds. And this prep recently, before she started maintaining, she was on a pretty low caloric deficit. She announced it and she was talking about it. And we had a lot of questions coming about it.
Yeah.
And we asked her about it. So do you want to maybe share maybe why an athlete would be at a low deficit? And we had Narman that was at like 2,000 calories. So just maybe a little insight on what makes those different and reasoning.
The thing is with Narman is she was not on 2,000 calories to get lean. She was on a very low calorie intake. And it's funny because Jen, Laura Lee, and Narman all have a very similar approach to what gets them in their best shape, and then what it takes to maintain that. So for Jennifer Dorie, for Laura Lee and Jennifer Dorie at the Olympia last year, it was a very similar approach, just by chance. So Laura Lee was in a pretty big calorie deficit just like this time, last Olympia prep. And then when she got stage lean, I would keep increasing her food, and that would just keep building up her metabolism.
Like a reverse.
Sorry?
Like a reverse almost.
Exactly. So I find the best and most efficient and safest strategy is to get someone stage lean and then boost up their metabolism and give them keep increasing their food. That is the safest way for a few reasons. One, because you're going to be ready on time. If you're like going to the last minute, you're like, oh shit, we needed an extra week to be, that'll never happen if you get ready ahead of time and then you start increasing their food. So I'm not saying get ready 10 weeks ahead. I'm saying aim to be ready 4 weeks out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, if you have a client that's doing 2 hours cardio a day and 1,000 calories, first of all, your peak week and your carb up is going to be a lot harder to gauge because you don't know, if it's going to negatively affect their waist or they're not going to be able to digest the food, etc. And the body gets tired when you're doing all that food, and it looks tired. But if they're able to have a bigger, intake of food and a lower output of energy through cardio, going to the show, they're going to look better. You know how to refeed them, you know how to give them more food and stuff like that. So I'd rather get them ready ahead of time and reverse them into the show. And that generally is proven to be a very good strategy for bikini athletes.
Sure.
Yeah, so kind of ride hard into it, get ready a little bit before, and then I think that really allows you to, maybe you want to kind of chime in on this part, getting that right look that judges aren't getting tight enough, not too hard, staying very, very full. Crossing those lines, that's it's like a chemistry project.
Yeah, it's fun. It's very fun.
And I don't think it's really achievable unless you kind of peak a little early, and then you can kind of reverse into it, maintain and continue to tighten, and keep those muscle bellies full.
Exactly. You never want to leave it to the last minute and be like, okay, we're going to do this refeed and then we're going to hope for the best. You want to see the athlete's actual stage package before they go on stage, a couple of weeks before, and be like, this is the look. And then you try to repeat that look going into the show, you know, on peak week. I think that's a much safer strategy.
Yeah, I agree. That's what the approach that we do as well. What advice would you give to a woman who is trying to build glutes, and then a woman who is trying to maybe tone down her legs?
Build glutes and tone down her legs. So in my experience, and actually Phil Heath's advice, well, first of all, do you mean tone down as in lose muscle mass, or?
So like build and lose.
Tone. Gotta love that word.
Tone, yeah, I'm confused. So do you want to lose fat and muscle mass, or just fat on the legs?
Just fat.
Just fat?
Well,
Just
and
fat.
muscle, because there's a lot of girls who have really muscular lower bodies, or maybe now we're starting to hear sometimes from judges that the glutes are maybe a little bit too overpowering. So how do you maybe, like, what would you give advice, or what advice would you give to someone who needs to add muscle and then someone who needs to tone down the muscle?
Okay, so just the short answer is stop training the muscle group that you need to shrink. You need to stop stimulating the muscle group, right? So even, let's say you're trying to shrink your legs down, shrink your quads, you shouldn't be doing HIIT cardio. HIIT cardio is going to stimulate the quads, you know, and the muscles a lot more in your legs, and that's going to keep the muscle mass on. So if you want to reduce muscle mass, low intensity, you know, cardio is going to be your best route for sure, because that's not going to stimulate the muscle mass, and it's actually going to burn muscle mass off. If you're doing, you know, extremely long paced cardio with a low calorie, you know, intake. But definitely, like, I have a lot of girls that have their quads are too big, and I'm like, don't hit those quads at all. Not even like secondary, like don't even do squats. Like even like sumo squats for your glutes or whatever, and your hamstrings, they could hit a little bit of quad. So I'd like avoid all those exercises.
It's amazing how in being quad dominant is pretty common, but how easily your quads are engaged by doing almost any type of
nuts. Yeah.
Like you have to do like just pure isolation for glutes and hamstrings.
Yeah, it's annoying, but yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as building glutes, I mean, I usually make my athletes train them 2 or 3 times a week. But I've had athletes, let's say like Massa now, and some other athletes that I have, where they're like, you need to stop training your glutes. And they literally just stop training their glutes. Or if an athlete has wide glutes, right, like their abductors are too, you know, wide or too overpowering, and their glutes kind of look like a oval, like a horizontal oval, then you got to just focus on the upper part of the glutes and the lower part, and not focus on the abductors too much. So you want to shape the glutes. You want to make sure the glutes are shaped round. So you need to introduce exercises that, you know, are going to help you, and not just be like, okay, just train glutes. You know, that doesn't. Right. They can be doing training glutes can be just doing kickbacks, you know, 3 times a week. But that athlete might need bigger glutes and bigger lower glutes. You understand? So you have to be good with exercise selection and knowing where each exercise hit the glutes in order to achieve your goal of round glutes.
Yeah. Attention to detail, really.
Yeah.
That's where success lies.
That's good advice. We're also hearing the term 3D glutes. Have you guys heard that term?
Yeah.
Well, I guess not really, but I guess it just means like very, you know.
Projection.
Yeah. Projection, yeah. But that's the advice that a lot of judges are giving athletes these days is, you know, looking for that 3D glute. What would you like, what kind, just hearing that term, like what comes to your mind first too? Like if an athlete was like, you know, I was told they want more 3D, what type of advice would you give for maybe training to achieve that look?
First of all, what that means to me is high, tight, and round, right? That's the definition of bikini glutes. But I mean, to achieve 3D glutes, first of all, you need to be conditioned, right? So that you can see separation between your glute and your hamstring, and that's going to give it pop, right? Because if you have someone who's like, let's say 15 to 20% body fat, you know, they might have big glutes, but they're not going to be 3D because they're going to kind of like, you know, be blended in with the leg. So you're going to notice a lot of the time that the glutes pop out a lot more when you're leaner, because then you start seeing the whole shape. And fat doesn't really make a round shape. It kind of just like blends it together. But the muscle is what's going to make the round shape. So definitely focus on conditioning, focus on bringing, you know, the proper bikini condition required to, you know, do well in the sport. And then again, focus on the 3, you know, the upper glutes, the outer glutes, and the main gluteus maximus, to increase the size of the glutes.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of it is just time, and it's very, especially if someone is has decent genetics, it's very easy to get your glutes too big. Like I have Laura can't get bigger glutes, like they're at the max. Sandy told Jen, don't get bigger glutes, they're at the max. A lot of the judges saw Norman's video and they said, don't get bigger glutes, they're at the max. You know what I'm saying? So it's they don't. A lot of amateurs think that the bigger the glutes, the better. That's not true. It's quality of the glutes and quality of the shape and the conditioning. Bigger glutes don't win shows.
Especially now with wellness, it's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
separation between the two divisions is so important to see.
Well, I think there was the we are hearing more from judges like, don't, your glutes are at its max. I heard that at Olympia. And in my mind, I was just like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because we're so programmed to think like bigger, 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 bigger. But it's true. Like now they're really wanting to see more balance with the upper body, with the lower body, that like everything in sync.
They want an X frame. Yeah. They want your upper body to be proportional to your lower body and not one overpowering muscle. And that was something I had to learn throughout, my time, because as a starting out coach, you're like, oh, bigger glutes is better. It's bikini, right? It's all glutes. All you hear is glutes, glutes, glutes. So you're like, keep growing. And I've had athletes going to shows, and I'm like, wow, your glutes you look great. And the judge's like, your glutes are too big. And then I look at the pictures, I'm like, damn, her glutes actually are too big. You know what I'm saying?
Is that are you just referring to maybe Masa?
Masa, the issue with that is we get conflicting feedback from different judges.
Okay.
So I'm not happy with how she looked at the Arnold. She was too lean, too skinny, in my opinion, and that was an error on my end. But I think the reason that happened was because I was torn between the feedback of two different, judging ideas. So one of them said she needs to be a lot leaner, and one of them said, I would say two of them said she needs to be a decent amount leaner and bring in more condition, and like 5 of them said she needs to be exactly the same. So I was like, okay. I'm like, what would I do? I'm like, I really like how she looked at the her first show, the muscle contest show, but her glutes were actually a little bit too big, to be honest. So the head judge was correct. Her glutes were too big. So I think, and I talked to Sandy too, and she said that she needs to work more on her X-frame because her glutes are a bit overpowering. So I definitely think it is a glute, issue right there. But as far as her conditioning goes, her Arnold, she was too lean because I was too focused on the judges that said she had to be leaner, and that kind of, you should always go with I as a coach, you learn from every show. You learn more about yourself, you learn more about your athletes or whatever. And I learned from the show, just go with what I think, because that's going to be usually the best. Like take constructive criticism, but analyze it yourself. So if a judge says, she needs to be leaner, you need to really first of all, who's the judge? Is it Sandy? Is it Tyler? Is it Steve? Is it one of the Olympia judges that are judging you where you want to be?
Yeah.
Or is it just another pro judge? I mean, all the pro judges are very good, but if you want the exact, answer to your question, ask Sandy, ask Tyler, because they're going to tell you what they want, and they're the ones at the end of the day that are head judging the Olympia. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Definitely.
And then when you're watching the other girls getting ready for the Arnolds, like Issa, like Angelica, they were coming in. They weren't messing around. So I can see why, and I can see why you and Masa came in a little leaner. I thought she looked incredible at the muscle contest and at the Arnold. But it also is shows that as a coach and as a client, it takes time to get to know your body.
you got to know the client. Yeah.
And it goes through many trial and errors to find out what really works. So it's not just like one show, we got this dialed. It takes time. Yeah,
like Jennifer Dorie, our first show together, she came 4th. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn. And then I was like, oh, I knew what to do. And then the next show, I think 3 weeks later, we came 2nd at Tampa. You know what I'm saying? And she looked unbelievable at Tampa. It was flawless. And then at the Olympia, she came in a little bit too hard, because the judges were saying harder. And then went to Olympia, they're like too hard. So, but now I have a perfect balance of I know exactly where Jen to be. And I believe that we proved that at the Olympia, which came 5th. And Sandy said she could not find one flaw on Jen's body at that show. not one flaw. She said she looked at her pictures for 20 minutes and she couldn't find one bad thing. So I feel like we nailed it there.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, it takes time.
It does. Time and trust. Sorry?
Were you going to say something?
So with all your clients that you have, you know, I see you all over. Camille sees you all over too. Do you travel with all your clients? Do you set it up so that you're there with them at the shows? How does that work for you?
So before this horrible quarantine situation, I was traveling every weekend or every second weekend. I love to travel. I love to be with my clients. I love to, you know, it's a better experience and it's more fun when you're with the athletes and they're, you know, at the show. So I try to go to as many pro shows as I can. I usually travel at least every second weekend throughout the year. So I'll go to every single pro qualifier in Canada. I'll go to most regional shows around here. I mean, I'm not going to fly, you know, 6 hours to go to a regional show where I have one athlete. It just doesn't make any sense. But I typically, like, I went to Japan in February. I went to Ohio for the Arnold. I was going to go to Australia, you know, in March, and then I got canceled. So, I mean, I love to travel, love to be at the show. It's just a better experience, you know. I love my job and I love to be there with the athletes. So
absolutely.
I would never like be like, oh, Jennifer Dorie or Norman, go compete alone. You know, I want to be there. I want to be part of the experience. I want to be able to, you know, peak them properly. And you can pick an athlete flawlessly, you know, through like videos and online, you know, interaction, but it's not the same as in person. Like at the Olympia, I was looking at Jen every 45 minutes to an hour around the clock, you know, nonstop. Laura Lee too. Every hour I would go take an Uber to her hotel, and that's just a better, more accurate, you know, thing.
Yeah,
I think I saw even Masa mentioned that you guys were doing like every 30 minutes you guys were doing check-ins before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So when you have multiple athletes competing in the same show against each other, like for an example, Olympia, how do you like manage each individual athlete's needs and attention to detail when you have multiple athletes competing against each other?
So that just goes back to the organization thing. And if you ask Jen or Laura Lee, right, they were technically against each other at the Olympia, but ask them if they felt left out. Ask them if they felt I gave more attention to the other one. They'll both say no. I gave them both so much attention. They're like, holy cow, like this is, you know, fantastic. Like they see I'm involved and they see I really care. And the thing is, you know, to build a business, especially in this industry, you can't really have favoritism. You know, you want all your athletes to succeed. And my whole vision is to have all athletes be at their best. So I've had shows, multiple shows, I think like 3 shows where I've had exactly 27 athletes at a show. And, you know, you got to peak them all. You got to give them all attention. And none of them have ever told me or I've ever got feedback, hey, I need more attention at the show. I don't sleep for 3-4 days and I make sure they all have attention because that's their time. You know, they work so hard to get to that show. I want to make sure that they're at their best. And an athlete's not going to complain if they came second place to someone on my team that came first, if they look their best. You know, the biggest thing is they look their best and then they go out and, you know, good luck to all you. We'll see how you place. That's how my, you know, my thing is. And last year at the Toronto Pro Qualifier, I had 27 athletes.
Wow.
They were every single one of them was in the first call out, all 27. And 6 out of the 8 for the overall were my girls for the bikini. And then one of them went pro, whatever. So I didn't have any people. Yeah. I didn't have anyone complaining there, you know, so.
Yeah, those are highlight moments in your life.
Yeah, I love that. That was a great weekend.
That's awesome.
So,
but it's funny.
What are the
Sorry?
I'm sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was going to say, like, that show, I believe I peaked, like, 26 out of 27 flawlessly. And that's just, you know, maybe some luck for sure, you know, because how can you look at every single person, you know, right before they go on stage or whatever, like, there's a little bit of luck involved with peaking 27 people at the same time because, you know, are you chasing them around? Are they all together? You know, where's this girl? Where's that girl? You know what I'm saying? So, but I think 26 out of 27 were flawlessly peaked. And sometimes you have a show where Massa, you know, where I wasn't too happy with her Arnold package, you know, I have one athlete at that show, you know, so it just, it just depends on the show. And I don't think that when I have a big group of athletes at a show that it doesn't take away from their, you know, attention or how they're going to look at all.
Good.
That's great.
What are the plans since we've had all these closures with shows and I think Laura Lee is qualified for 2020 Olympia.
Yeah.
Jennifer Dorie, Narman, and Masa are still trying to get that invite. As a coach, what are like do you guys have any strategies for when we're kind of waiting for shows to open it back up, or?
Yeah, I believe Jen was going to do Tampa, and Laura Lee was going to do the show, and Narman, we had a couple shows we're looking at, but guys, I'm not a pessimist or anything, and obviously I want the Olympia to go on, but I don't foresee it happening, with an audience if they have it. So, I mean, if the Olympia is a very international show, and do you think in the next 3 months or whatever, 4 months, they're going to allow, international flights from around the world and 300,000 people to gather? I don't think so, so I'm obviously unbiased because I love the Olympia and I want to be there, but I need to be realistic. And I think that what's going to happen is either going to choose to have just the athletes, or they're going to move it to like November, December. That's the only foreseeable thing that I think is going to happen,
And it's so hard too, because even if they do decide to move it to November, December, no one really has answers for when this thing's going to be over, when
Honestly,
that is going to be allowed.
Yeah, they don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what's going to happen because no one has answers. We have to just go and see with it. It sucks. You know what I'm saying? That's why I had some athletes, doing shows. Hey, I have a show in August. I'm like, we'll prepare you for this show, but I can't guarantee you it's going to happen,
Right.
So we have to just go with it. And usually, within at least 6 weeks if a show is going to happen or not, So yeah, I really hope the Olympic goes on. I really hope I can travel around the world again soon. But I don't know if that's going to happen, in September, to be honest. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard the same thing from others that, don't be surprised if the Olympia is postponed. And I totally get it.
This thing is so annoying, to be honest. This whole thing is so annoying.
Oh, it's a disruption on so many levels. I mean, I'm out here in Santa Cruz, California. We're just like
a headache.
It's scary, it's really scary. But as far as like the shows go, when the shows start back up, I mean, Sarah, you guys are in that boat. You guys are promoters, and all these shows are getting ready to be rescheduled, postponed. It's going to be the short window before when we are allowed to compete and when Olympia is supposed to go on. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and it's hard too, because it's one of those things that too, with this shorter season, how many people are going to have some kind of uproar if it does still go on in September, but then, obviously not everyone had their fair share of qualifying for the show.
I think the fairest thing would be to move it to like November or something. That's what I think. And I think it would be I'm sure that if the promoters were given a choice to either keep it in September and only have athletes compete, or move it to November or December and have the whole audience, I'm pretty sure they're going to move it to November,
I would rather wait.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd
like,
if you want to compete on the Olympia stage with no audience, this is not fun.
We did it the
Arnold. The same thing, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was there. It was awful.
So. Yeah, it was kind of sad.
Yeah, I know. I was allowed in the audience for my amateurs, but there was like 10 people in there. I was like, that's not fun for me. Yeah, it's sad.
Seriously, even for the pro level, at the end, the press pit started clapping because everyone was like, oh my gosh, there's no one here to cheer for them.
Yeah. So, I mean.
The judges are clapping.
Yeah.
The athletes are going to clap for themselves.
Seriously.
I know. I think we did, actually.
Yeah. So I want to go to the Olympia, and I want to have a good experience there. I want to be able to see my athletes. I don't want to be like, oh, we're in quarantine in our hotel rooms, and it's just not, I don't. And plus, you have to know you guys know this obviously, but Jake Wood took over the Olympia, and it's his first year, and anyone who's starting a business in this year is not having a fun time. It's awful. No. It's horrible. So the small businesses are all getting destroyed, I mean, this whole thing is a disaster. So I'm pretty sure if you were the promoter of the Olympia, you'd want to have, a proper audience. And honestly, even if this happens in November, they're not going to have the same numbers as last year. People are scared. People don't have money to travel,
Right.
People are scared to go on planes. And a lot of people are going to be, frightened, to spend money because they see the consequence now of not having any money. So there's going to be a lot less travel going on. There's going to be a lot less gathering, so the whole world's going to change for sure. And
Yeah, it's going to
Sucks.
take some time to get back to where we were at. I really think we will be back at, sooner than later.
Yeah.
Might be, 6 months to a year before we start feeling like, normal again.
Yeah.
But I would be totally fine with Olympia being postponed
Yeah, I would be fine with it too.
Yeah. Well, James, thank you so much for coming on here.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm going to share with everyone who's watching how they can find you and share your handles with us.
The easiest way is on Instagram, and it's Team Atlas MTL. Thanks, Camille and Sarah. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Have a nice day, guys.
Bye,
Thanks,
James.
you too.
Bye.
So that was an awesome interview with James. That was exciting because that was our first male coach that we brought on.
Yeah.
The show.
First male.
First male. You and I are both like,
We're a little more calm right now.
Yeah. But James shared us so much great insight to his coaching style, what it's like to coach, a large team, and his selection process. But we were just talking before we, about.
Reed came back on, but yeah, we were just talking about how informative that was and how awesome, and I was saying to Camille here that I think it's so interesting to compare all these different coaches' opinions and how they run their business of coaching, because at the Santa Cruz Power Fitness, which you guys can go on and actually see on MaximumMuscleReport.com, Camille hosted a whole coaching seminar with coaches such as Kim Otto, Matt Allen, Whitney Jones, Mandis Buckle, Ryan Benson, Team Ventura. Why am I blinking? Omar, thank you. Omar. And they all went through and kind of discussed how they work with their athletes, how they coach, how they deal with it. And I think having James on here too, and comparing this interview to their interview, it shows that all of these coaches, none of them are really reinventing the wheel. They all kind of follow the same pattern, if you will, with dieting and how they work with their clients and their style. It's just, what coach do you end up bonding with better? Or which coach do you are on the same wavelength with more? That's what I think really creates that coaching and athlete relationship. Especially now hearing more and more that it's nothing new and from Mars. It's all the same kind of thing, but everyone has their own little style within that.
Especially at that level, when you have, the coaches that we've talked to, whether it's at the seminar with James and some of the other coaches we'll be bringing on our panel, at that level of coaching, they all practice the very similar fundamentals. And it really does come down to that communication among, two-way street, client communicating with the coaches communicating with the client, and that bond that they share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely different insight. Now you guys can go and listen to Jennifer's interview, Laura Lee's interview, Narman's interview, and then come and listen to this one and see what their coach has to say about everything.
Yeah.
So that was great.
So what is on your quarantine agenda today, Sarah?
We already talked about this in the intro.
No.
More housework, but I came up with an awesome, fun question, quarantine special question for you, because we've been seeing all these little memes and stories, right? That is like, oh, what is your ideal quarantine house? Who would you pick to be in your house, Camille?
Who would I pick to be in my house with quarantine?
Anyone in the whole world. Who would you have?
You are definitely high on that list. Then we can just talk about nothing for hours.
You weren't really on my list, but okay.
Oh! You're like, I see enough of her already. Gosh, who I would want to be locked down with? Well, is it okay to
it can be famous.
Just myself?
Oh, really? Chris.
No,
I have news for you. so just yourself.
And there he is.
Hey, Chris.
Jedi Master.
Yes, you need a new quarantine partner.
Take her. Who do I get? Do I get Mandis?
Yeah, we're trading.
Swap. Husband swap.
Right.
Other way.
Husband swap, quarantine edition.
Asked me if I could pick anyone to be in quarantine with, who would I bring into quarantine with? I said, is it okay just to pick myself?
Ouch.
All day long.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
All right,
Well,
Kyle, take whatever you want from that, buddy.
Oh, Kyle. Everyone's like, who's Kyle?
No. They talk about Kyle like he's this like little elf on the shelf. Kyle, you're
Can
our
we
elf
get
on
one
the
of
shelf.
those made? Can we get a mini Kyle made?
Here.
What'd you say?
I have 2 elf on the shelves.
Yeah, this is the other guy.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know we had 2 mascots.
That's Buster. He's the boxer. And
Buster.
then Oreo's a little Boston. So who would you pick to have in your quarantine?
Well, Mandis.
What's that?
I'll keep Mandis. But I would like to add to the list. I would like to add on there, obviously you, Camile.
Thank God.
I need to add like, this is tough. You know, whether it be like Chris Rock or
I was just thinking comedians.
yeah, for sure. Jack Black's been super entertaining. I need a comedian in there. We could do some nice prank jokes. Yeah, you know, I think that's where I would go with because, you know, singers aren't that entertaining and
Yeah, you can only be serenaded for so long.
right. I just spilled my
like,
coffee somehow.
A comedian, that would be awesome. Ellen DeGeneres, she'd be fun.
Oh, Ellen would be a great time to be locked up with. That's hilarious.
Have you seen that show? Okay, we'll talk about shows to watch. I think it's called Between Two Ferns or Stuck Between Two Ferns.
I've never heard of it. Is it on Netflix?
Between Two Ferns. Yeah, okay. Who was the guy, what's that? Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, yeah. He's great. He was in Hangover.
Yeah, so he was in Hangover, but he has a show called Between Two Ferns.
Okay.
It is hysterical.
Really? What is it? Is it a game show?
It's well, no, it's a talk show. It's a talk show, but I think it was actually a real talk show that he did, and then they made this movie on it on Netflix. So he brings on these like crazy, you know, A-list celebrities, actors, and will interview them, but he is such a douchebag to them. But he's like, in his way, he's really kind of a weird guy.
Really? Well, I could see that.
Like,
that seems like a glaring statement, but sure. That's great. Okay, so on Netflix, so everyone needs to check that out.
You're just like, whoa.
No, like I totally have something to do today. Decision made. What was I just gonna ask you? I don't know.
I don't know either.
My nails are slowly coming off. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 left to come off. So 4 are officially popped off.
I ripped mine off and I have done a gel. I did a good job too, actually.
I feel like we're like updating people on our nail status at this point. So
well, you
they're
know,
pretty bad.
Most other people are in the same situation as we are. And you know what's really funny?
That's the only reason I'm showing them. I would never.
This week I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I am now needing a touch up on my hair. And I was gonna go out and buy this like
You
You
don't
can't
even.
see it, but I'm 40, Sarah. I have like grays popping through. Yeah, you just have
Where are my naturally brunette blondes at?
So
Anyone who gets highlights feels me.
Yeah, so so you're experiencing the highlight grow out. I'm getting some little gray
Hello.
through. But I was gonna go out and buy this like root touch-up kit, and I saw on Instagram that everyone is at the same phase. Everyone is like going through the same phases of like needing to do a touch-up, not just Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Views, and it's funny.
Oh no, it's official. I had to put fake eyelashes on this morning.
Oh, like
I just didn't look human. I had to put a strip on because my eyelashes are gone. Nails, hair. It's literally like the meme that came out like day one.
No, not even.
Yeah, it's not really that close, but it's getting there. I'm sure every female feels the same way.
To some degree.
Way. Oh,
but
totally.
I know. But then you put on like, you do your hair and you put on like maybe just a little like makeup and it makes you feel like you're.
I got jeans on.
I don't. I'm about to go lead a class.
Oh, they look like jeans though. You could have went with it. But let me guess, they're Lululemon Align.
Huh?
They're Lululemon Aligns.
Yes.
Of course they are. It's like the only pant you wear.
Every day. I love them.
It's the best. They really are the best. They really are.
So next up we have India coming on.
We have India Paulino coming on, and I'm super excited to have her on. She is awesome. Another OG. We're bringing all the OGs to you guys, and I'm sure there's someone watching this that's like, just never say OG again.
No, we're getting a lot of great content, and I think next week we have Adam with Team Elite Physiques coming on. Ashley Kaltwasser's coach. So it's kind of fun to get a mixture of things for our viewers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited. We're here to keep you guys entertained. There's only so much to watch on Netflix and Hulu besides Camile's new suggestion of a show.
Two Ferns. People are gonna watch and be like, wow, this was
Between Two Ferns. People are gonna learn a lot about Camile when they watch the show.
The name of the show is literally because he interviews someone between two ferns.
You're kidding me.
No, it's hysterical.
Oh my god, I literally have to put that on like right now. That's hilarious.
It's funny.
I'm all about a good laugh.
You should actually put a blurb in here between two ferns.
Just give them.
Sarah.
You know.
Damn it. I literally forgot what I was gonna say to you.
Monday morning, fun shenanigans. So everyone knows we usually record in the afternoon. So
yeah, we do.
Bear with us. That maybe should go in the intro, Kyle.
We pulled it together pretty well for James though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
All right, sweetie. Have a great day.
Okay, I don't think we actually did a final wrap up. So
oh yeah.
I'm Sarah Lyon.
I'm Camile Periat.
Bikini Show sponsored by Maximum Beauty. We will see you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Mwah.
Bye.